that we're here calling in from stolen unceded Indigenous land. I'm joining from Gadigal land in Morang, Sydney, and I pay my respects to elders past and present of this land and all the other lands across the continent, and extending that to any First Nations people joining our call today. I'd also like to acknowledge that First Nations people feel the effects of the climate crisis first and worst, and that they've been on the front lines of the fight for climate justice and against the nuclear industry since the very beginning of this work. And we always try to be mindful that the work we do to progress the development of renewable energy, those projects happen on unceded Indigenous land and waters, and our work is also to support First Nations sovereignty. So this forum today is hosted by Friends of the Earth, Yes to Renewables, and the Nuclear Free Collectives. I'm Anna Maxkevich, the New South Wales organiser for Yes to Renewables, and I also want to acknowledge the other Friends of the Earth crew who are in the room today and who did a lot of work to bring this all together and make sure it happened smoothly. The agenda and order of events for today, I'll just give a brief overview of what the election outcomes were for energy this election. And then we're going to go behind the ballot and have a look at all of the grassroots, a small amount of the grassroots work that helped to achieve those results. So we'll hear from our speakers. We have 4 speakers today about each of their local campaigns, how they organised, what they achieved and what they've learnt. And then we'll have some Q&A, as I mentioned, at the end, and then stick around to hear what our next steps are to keep organising, because although we've had a great outcome, of course, this work continues into the next term of government as well. So our 2025 election outcomes. This election, as Dutton referred to it himself, was a referendum on energy. So how did that referendum play out? Well, firstly, nuclear bombed at the ballot. Australians demonstrated that overwhelmingly they rejected Dutton's nuclear fantasy, especially, as we will hear shortly, those communities that stood to be the most impacted by those proposed nuclear sites. Secondly, it was a vote for renewables. The country voted to see greater ambition on renewable energy, despite significant anti-campaigns and misinformation that we saw in key areas across the country. So, for example, the ALP's two-party preferred support increased in most seats with offshore wind debates, despite significant campaigns against the projects. And you can see on this graphic here that illustrates that anti-offshore wind campaigns across New South Wales did not actually impact Labor's vote in those regions. So that was a really good outcome from the great renewables campaigning that was happening on the ground. Also, outside of the major parties, pro-renewables candidates and independents, lots of independents across the country also improved their first preference vote. So it was a really good outcome for renewables. And as a result of this election outcome and the trajectory that we're now on, which is very different to the trajectory we could have been on, the Climate Council predicts that by the next election, Australia's main grid is expected to be more than 2/3 powered with renewables and storage. So that is really a pretty incredible outcome for renewables. But as we know, behind this result, frontline communities were fighting hard for offshore wind and against nuclear. They were running creative campaigns, countering fossil fuel propaganda and misinformation, and mobilising people to have rich and impactful conversations and influence the public discourse around energy, both locally in their regions and at the national scale. So we wanted to take this opportunity to reflect on all the work that went on behind the scenes at the grassroots level to get the result that we got. And we want to shine a light on some of the work happening in communities across the country to organise, to campaign, to listen and engage with complex community perspectives and voices, which is something that not all the candidates and MPs were doing, and to pressure MPs and candidates on energy and climate policy. And it's this work that's been so vital to securing us a renewable future, not a radioactive one. So I want to introduce some of the faces of these local campaigns. Welcome to all of our speakers who are going to give us a look inside what they've been doing locally to advocate for communities. First up, we're going to hear from Adrian Cosgriff, a former oil and gas worker and now turned anti-nuclear campaigner. After that, we'll hear from Anna Hall, who will be talking about the actions Nannas Against Nuclear have taken in the Latrobe Valley. Then Ali Gerritsen will fill us in on Good for the Gong's campaign for offshore wind in the Illawarra. And finally, Jack Egan from South Coast Climate Alliance will share insights from their work on climate and energy campaigning on the south coast of New South Wales. I really want to thank all four of you for taking the time out of your day to be here. And so I think we'll just hop straight in as we're a little behind time. But do, please feel free to stick to your notes and tell us all about your campaigns. First up, Adrian. Excuse me. So Adrian is born and bred in Gippsland. As I mentioned, oil and gas campaigner. Oil and gas worker for many years, has been a member of Voices of the Valley and has been instrumental in the work done locally in Gippsland to fight off the proposed nuclear energy there. Adrian, I'd like to invite you to explain to us a little bit about that transition that you made from being a worker in energy industries to coming to campaigning and what the work has been like in Gippsland.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Yeah, good day, everybody. I spent nearly all my working career in oil and gas and the last 20 years on the oil rigs in Bass Strait, just offshore Gippsland. So what people, not maybe everyone knows, is Latrobe Valley is the home of coal-fired power in Victoria. And as we know now, that industry is due to close, as is the oil industry offshore. It's also in the last years of life. So when Australia decided to go to net zero emissions, I immediately thought, well, okay, what does that mean for the valley? Because coal's been such a big part of the economy here. And so I started to ask the question, and there wasn't much public information available. No one seemed to be talking about it, which was kind of frustrating me. In the valley, we went through a privatisation phase 30 years ago, and we lost about 7,000 jobs in a couple of years. So I looked at the future coal closing and I thought possibly that could happen again. And well, we don't really want that to happen. So that's what initially drove me to want to know more. So because I couldn't get the information I wanted, I thought I better join a community group because generally they're really well connected. And so I joined Voices of the Valley because they were formed out of reacting to poor government response during the Hazelwood mine fire. So I knew they had plenty of experience and had the community at heart. So I joined them. And so that worked out pretty well because turns out there was a bit going on, and through them I was able to learn a bit more. So I sort of joined, but I sat there in the background because I'd never been in a community advocacy group before. I'd never done any public speaking or anything like that. So that was all good. And then all of a sudden last year, this nuclear thing came out of nowhere. So we had a quick look at that and decided that it wasn't the best option for us. And despite trying to speak to our local member, because this is a very strong national seat, we were getting nothing. We were getting no policy detail from the government, etc. So we decided, well, we better fight against it. But we also realised that it's pretty hard as a little group when you're trying to fight a political party. So because Voices of the Valley had some really good connections across Gippsland, we all joined forces and formed the Nuclear Free Gippsland Alliance, which has been an absolutely fantastic experience. So, apart from being quite effective, for me personally, I've met a whole lot of people that I would probably have never met before. We came up with new ways to campaign. We learned a lot about how you engage community, or try to, because as it turns out, it's very hard to engage community people, and especially in coal country like this. So generations of people here have worked in the coal-fired power stations. So to come along and say to them, listen, you're going to have to walk away from that and get into something else, it's pretty hard to get them engaged. So that was my background. That's how I got to this point. But as far as the alliance goes, I think all of us probably have learnt new ways of dealing with this. And I don't like to use the word activism so much, but we've found, as Anna will talk about in a minute, with the Nannas against nuclear, we've found new, better ways to engage the community. And I think if we can continue that going forward, possibly now with shifting to engaging Gippslanders about the benefits of renewables, it will probably go really well and be very effective. So yeah, that's my quick, short history. Blue collar bogan from Traralgon that probably out of frustration more than anything else, thought the government's not doing enough, the community's not getting engaged, and look, the community definitely needs to step up if they want better outcomes than we've had in the past. So that's my story of why I got involved.
That's awesome. I love your focus on the relational aspect as well, because I think we hear that time and time again from people in communities about finding the right people who share your vision and, coming together, and that's how you build power. Can you tell us specifically what the Alliance was doing around the election? What kind of organising tactics did you use? That photo from earlier was of that group all coming together somewhere?
Yeah, so what we did is we kind of, while we came together, and it was largely environmental groups across Gippsland, to be fair, but as we all came together, we quickly realised that we've got a broad set of skills and resources. So we formed subgroups. So we had a letter writing group that wrote to the local newspaper and spoke to the media and all that sort of stuff. We had other people that have stalls at the local markets. We had people handing out, doing letter drops to mailboxes. And then, of course, we had a couple of organised events, like the photo you saw there, that was with the big nuclear barrel in the background. So that was a public peaceful demonstration in the main street of Traralgon. It was pretty effective. But one of the really biggest things we did is we had a information evening, because we'd had a couple of information evenings in the valley from nuclear pro groups that had come down and told about half the story and left all the bad stuff out. So in the end, we thought, well, let's have our own. So we hired a place in Marble, and we had about probably 80 or 100 people turn up, and we had some really good speakers, and it was a warts and all question and answer session. So there was no filtering, you could ask what you like. There's also a website where we've followed up questions from the public to further that engagement for people, to make it easier for them to learn. And of course, in my opinion, the star of all that is the Nannas against nuclear, which Anna will talk about, because that is such a different, welcoming, engaging action that's not seen as protesting. It doesn't upset people. It's like talking to your Nana. come along, have a cup of tea, sit down, just have a chat about things. And that's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, what was the reception that you received? Like when you were thinking about doing the sort of town hall forum, were you concerned about like what kind of questions you might get or whether things might get antagonistic, and how did you kind of navigate that?
Yeah, good question, because we had no idea how that would go. Through the Facebook pages, we know that there's certain individuals in the community that are there to cause a bit of trouble, and so we were concerned that some of them might turn up. So we had a security guide just in case, sort of thing. But also, this is the other thing about this wide community group that we formed. There's a whole lot of really smart, skilled people in the community, really knowledgeable people. And so we were very comfortable with answering any question that was put to us, because we've got people who have science backgrounds, engineering backgrounds, all that kind of stuff, who are also a bit nerdy and have done loads of research. And so we were very confident that we could answer any question. And if we couldn't do it on the night, we backed it up via email after, that sort of stuff. But yeah, turns out there were no activists, there were no cranky people there. I guess it was probably a bit of a pro renewables crowd, so it's always a bit hard to gauge that. But it was really successful. And one thing we all thought, because we did it, I think it was about a week before the election. If we were doing it again, it would have been good to do it a month before the election or something like that, because it probably would have got the community even more engaged, as people who went to it would have then talked to their workmates or their families or whatever, and we might have even spread the word further. So I think if we were to do something like that in the future, you'd probably do it earlier rather than later.
Yeah, that's a really good reflection, and one that I've been hearing a lot from people who are doing stuff around the election. There's never enough lead time.
Yeah.
But also I just want to pick up on that point that you make about like people going and speaking to their families and people in their communities, and that the fact that you at the event, the speakers were kind of knowledgeable people from the community, because those voices, and the space that that creates to be with your peers, people who are from your region and your place and understand it, and understand the community, that's so much kind of stronger than someone else coming in, or the government coming in, or a big NGO coming in and saying, and providing this information. So that sounds like a really impactful tactic, Adrian. Well done. We might move on to Anna, but we will have questions at the end, as I said. So if you have any questions for Adrian, start popping them in the chat, and we'll come back and we'll have a little Q&A. So Anna Hall, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Anna has been involved in community activism and is a committee member for Lock the Gate, Melbourne North, which is a small town in Victoria, and together with other communities successfully campaigned to ban coal seam gas drilling in Victoria. Awesome work. Recently, amidst the pre-election energy debate, Anna spearheaded Nannas against nuclear, which Adrian just mentioned. So Anna, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about how Nannas started and what you got up to over the election period?
I can explain this in a story, like in a page. I could read through and then I'll accept questions then, if that's possible.
Perfect.
Okay. The idea of Nannas for renewables came over a cup of coffee between two friends. The original title was Nannas Against Nuclear. This morning tea occurred about 8 weeks before the general election. The need to be out and about with a too close to call election, as stated at the time, had us outside Darren Chester's office within a week. He's the local national member, federal member, and what would occur next would just evolve. Outside Darren Jester's office, we set up posters and presented the public with information in the form of flyers. We gave the public the option of free stickers or calico bags. We do crafts and make morning tea. We have also set up an ironing board and ironed on transfers onto T-shirts with Nana logos for people who have decided to join us and sit with us. We have used these displays to highlight to the public what is possible in the future with a hybrid electric vehicle. And this is just I don't know if you can see it. I don't think you can, but I'm trying to display the logo here of what we used to iron on the T-shirts out in the street. We were just demonstrating what life would be like in a new world of renewable energy, of what's possible, because everyone's sometimes so negative around here about this kind of thing. Most importantly, though, what made us act was the fact that we were sick of hearing about the nuclear fantasy, the possibility of nuclear power plants in the valley, and the fact that there was no clear information in how this was to proceed. The information event at the local Italian Australia Club with Grace Dunk, Miss USA, seemed very contrived and controlled to the smallest detail and contained no information, just promotional material. While our community federal member who conducted community hearings for and against nuclear was only interested in the stats of how many members and how many paid up members in each group who presented at the hearing, and still today continues to deny that nuclear power plants are not suitable for our communities. Even though the Labor Party won unanimously, he wants nuclear. Like we all know what's happening in the news at the moment, with the National Party all fighting for nuclear to proceed in our communities. Anyway, just recently I learned that there is not enough water in the catchments to support a nuclear power plant, and the infrastructure for renewables needs to be well in advance of the closure of our local power plants. Through communication with our community at the grassroots as Nannas, we were able to inform the public of the renewable forum sponsored by the Nuclear Free Gippsland. During our short time as Nannas against nuclear, we have obtained signatures for an anti-nuclear petition, which we presented to Darren Chester at a day of protest, where we had a huge blow-up barrel with a nuclear symbol and paper sunflowers with bamboo sticks and written remarks from comments from the petition as to why nuclear is not good for Australia. Another day of action involved the mapping of nuclear fallout zones. While outside and mixing with the public, we have met some very like-minded people who have sat with us weekly, every Tuesday between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Karen, a farmer who is very dedicated to the cause of Nannas and who has been with us since the first Tuesday and says she will continue to do so. The unique fact about her is that she farms as sustainably as she can. Then we have Darren, who we met a few weeks later, who is an artist and graphic designer and was very active towards our cause. Before the election, he volunteered photography and made huge banners. His impressive pictures and banners can be seen on our Facebook posts. He also pushed for rally days, making people aware of fallout zones, and brought along his family as well. We also met Dee, another artist. She designed posters and also joined in campaigns. Vicky was another member of our community. She was anti-nuclear and ex-Navy. These are some of the different members of our community that we have met and value and have been great assets to our cause. It's just how things evolved. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I love that because really paints that picture of starting small. Like you can just start something with 1 or 2 people, and as you do your thing, you attract more people. And your description about all the people you met along the way just demonstrates that, how you kind of bring more and more people into the fold and incorporate their skills and enthusiasm. And Anna, I think that Nannas Against Nuclear is potentially thinking about a new direction. Is that right?
Yes, we are. Yeah, by communing with the general public each week, we are up to date with their opinions and present at present, according to Karen, which is one of the people I mentioned, and purely based on observations, 7 out of 10 people who approach us did not want nuclear. Even so, we need to consider the stats of how many people voted for Labor, about 30,000, and how many people voted for the Liberal National Party, 60,000 people in Gippsland. Hopefully, as more renewable projects are commenced and completed, there will be more acceptance of change. Since the election, we have been thinking of our new design and logo for Nannas. At present, we are referring to ourselves as Nannas for Renewables. There has been a call for a renewable hub again. We have learnt this by communicating with the public. There has been a lot of confusion in which renewable systems would be suitable for the individual's needs, possibly preventing potential customers. People are confused and say they have no place to learn about renewables and to ask questions. Also, farmers who are the most affected by the changes need a place to be reassured that all will be well. The beauty of Nannas for Renewables is being side by side with the people in our communities in a non-threatening way. When you think of Nannas, you think of caring and non-threatening, approachable people. Our next endeavours will be updating our main leaflets, listing renewable local projects in progress and completed, because sometimes we find that people don't even know what's going on. But, they don't know about the projects. They only hear about the Dalburn wind farm. I mean, that's very famous around here, but because of the big court case and it got in the media, but they don't know about the other projects. Even on our committee, someone wasn't aware, one of us wasn't aware that there was a recyclable solar panel business just outside this side of Sale. Just amazing. Just amazing.
That's right. And it's why the work that you're doing is so important. And also I've seen that Pat put in the chat for anyone who wants to know about our local energy hubs campaign, for places that people can go to get all of the information that is relevant to renewables in their communities. We might just keep moving because of time. Thank you so much, Anna. And we do still have the Q&A at the end for anyone who has questions about Nannas for Renewables now. And I will introduce Ali Gerritsen from Good for the Gong. Ali's an artist and mum who began volunteering with Good for the Gong after going on her own research journey around offshore wind and what that would mean for the Illawarra. She's now coordinating most of Good for the Gong's campaign activities. So welcome, Ali. I'd love to hear a bit about your story, how you came to Good for the Gong and how Good for the Gong came to be.
Hi, everyone. My talk is a little different. I hope I'm not too intense. I'm sitting here today and I'm a little bit nervous because in very heavy rain, our house floods and water's started to come in. So I'm looking over there and it's creeping towards me. And my partner's rushed home to help lift rugs and furniture off the floor. And I also need to keep my phone on in case my daughter's school is evacuated. The school's on very low-lying lands beside a creek, and in these conditions often spill over the banks. And it's these reminders that while fossil fuel companies profit, it's communities paying the cost. And as we're seeing up north, the cost is people's lives. So I want to talk now a bit about what drove me to action and join a local group. It was off the back of COVID when, like everyone, I was spending too much time on my phone. But unlike a lot of people my age who are being fed images of what skincare or makeup to buy next or bikini or whatever, I was being fed images of climate catastrophes worldwide. And this started to have a toll on my mental health. I'd be doing the daycare drop-offs, and any reference to the climate on the radio would have me in tears, and I'd have to explain it to my kids. It's really hard to explain. And I'm generally an even-keeled person, so they were worried, and I knew I needed to do something with these feelings. So Good for the Gong is where I landed, and it's a good place to be. It's a volunteer-run group of Wollongong locals who care deeply about climate change and the environment. We know that to help. Sorry, I need to collect myself. We know that to help ensure a safe climate, we need to move away from fossil fuels and adopt renewables like offshore wind. The reason Good for the Gong exists is because the community needed a way to address the mis and disinformation that was being circulated very early on in the piece by those opposed to offshore wind. This opposition to the project was really surprising because we're actually a very progressive area here. What we know is that the group opposed to offshore wind are in fact a relatively small proportion of the community, but they were very noisy on Facebook, and the way local journalists were covering stories amplified a division, and it wasn't helpful. So although this panel is discussing what our groups have been doing throughout the election period, I want to be really clear that we've been working in this way for almost 2 years, and our focus is to provide evidence-based information that is accessible. We want to ensure that the community understands the benefits to come from living in a renewable energy zone. The main things I think that have been helpful are becoming more visible in the community. Many people think that the support is lower for offshore wind is lower than it is. So being visible means having Good for the Gong signs and stickers up, shirts on, and running accessible events and stalls in the community. We're really proud of these events. They've been really positive and meaningful, and I've met a lot of amazing people. We've also been able to demonstrate that in the form of some videos, which can be found on YouTube. I wish I had the links handy and we could be putting them in the chat. So these
We'll
videos,
find them and post
thank you. These videos are of locals sharing why they support offshore wind, and these messengers of support are widely respected. Local faces who all do good in the community. One of them is here watching today. Just recently, we started an Instagram. We realized that being solely on Facebook, we were only reaching one part of the community that still uses that platform. The debate feels particularly toxic on Facebook, but it's really not representative of the community and the conversations you have when you get out there. So we want to keep a presence there on Facebook to provide evidence-based information, but we also realized we need to be reaching other younger audiences. And the response we're having on Instagram has been so much more positive. The younger segment of the community will be most affected by climate change. So it's so important that we're sharing information there. We've also found that those who support offshore wind have been worried about having conversations without all the facts, which I totally understand. And it's been part of my journey as well, feeling, more comfortable over time to have those conversations, which can be a little more challenging. So we've run events for people to learn more about offshore wind from experts so that they feel confident having those one-on-one conversations in their circles. And these conversations work best when we focus on finding connection. So yes, we both care about the environment, we've established this, and then going from there, small steps. It's been so important to focus on positive messaging, so the benefits to marine life, ensuring the highest environmental standards at all stages of the project, to prioritise local jobs and skills transfer, and to ensure that communities are included in the benefits. We've developed a community survey and have been sharing that widely, both online and in flyer format. And I'm sure a few of the locals who are watching here today have done it. If you haven't already done it, jump on the website, you can do that. So this is to ensure we're engaging the community on what's important to them throughout the process. And I know we'll probably get to it, but where to next for Good for the Gong is that we've had an incredible surge in volunteers recently. Our aim to build connections in the community has been so positive. It's really reassuring. So we're working to include everyone at a capacity that works for them. And coming up, we're going to run a fun event for the Global Wind Day. And then going forward, we're just going to keep knocking on doors and having positive conversations, setting up stalls so people can access information easily, and working to send the message that this community supports offshore wind.
Amazing. You know, I love your work, and I'm sure everyone else does here too now. Just want to also acknowledge that, you know, that Good for the Gong, along with all the other groups that we've heard from so far, like a lot of what's coming out is this kind of one-on-one power of individual conversation and going deep in your local area by doing door knocking and stalls and inviting people in for conversations. So it's really like, it is slow work, one person at a time, but you can see that it's making a difference. So I just want to call that out and also say, hope everyone locally in the Illawarra is doing okay with all the rain. Lastly, we have Jack, who's joining us from his car on his way to Gundagai. Jack lives in Rosedale, just south of Bateman's Bay, and has been active in 350 Eurobadala and Bushfire Survivors for Climate Action. He most recently coordinated Southeast Climate Alliance Seeker, their campaign in the Gilmore electorate. Jack, would love to hear about how that campaign went, how it started, and what you learned.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Yeah, the campaign went very well because Labor, in a very marginal seat, is now 7 percentage points ahead of Liberals on a two-party preferred. Southeast Climate Alliance, New South Wales, is an alliance of 10 groups. Could you put up the slide, Anna, please?
Yes, thank you. Sorry about that.
And you'll see those groups listed at the bottom of the slide that Anna's just about to put up. These groups span Gilmore and Eden Monaro. You can see the groups down the bottom. And there are a wide range of climate and environment causes. You've got your clean energy groups, your national climate policy groups, your forest protectors, your marine protectors. Those groups were also in this election well supported by ACF, 350 National, and Yes to Renewables. It was a marriage of mutual convenience because we're on the ground, we have contacts and know the local vibe, and we're a way for the bigger orgs to get right in and engage with the community. We're a very loose alliance. We don't have a web page or a Facebook page. The rationale for that is that people know our groups already, and that's where we sort of want them to. That's who we want them to see when they come to think about climate and voting. One of the groups is CanSign, and Jed Johnson heads CanSign, and he is on the call today. Now, why we do this is to share resources and effort, basically, in election campaigns, and also to amplify our voice so that when we ask for a media interview with radio, for example, we can say, look, we represent 10 groups, not just one. And that also has some import when we meet with politicians. What we did in the campaign, we started about 6 months out, as it turned out. We workshopped our messaging. We had delegations to meet each of the main candidates. We surveyed those candidates, so we had whatever they wanted to say on it recorded. We ran 2 candidate forums, for which the main candidates, Liberal, Labor, Green, and a good independent, were to which they were invited to that, and they got to see the questions beforehand and each get to answer the same questions. We kept pretty strict control of that. We didn't let them run off over time, etc. We did get some media out of those forums, which is one of the main reasons one does them. Our social media has been running through the individual group pages. We ran stalls with a different survey, which is a survey of the public, and the purpose of the survey is really to be a way to get talking to people, so that you can say, well, would you like to answer our climate survey? And some people say yes, and that can lead to quite an interesting conversation that could go anywhere. Also, we produced a scorecard. Just before we look at that, what you see in front of you is the front side of the scorecard. We just went with a kind of emotional hook kind of picture, which is, about the values that we represent and why we're doing this. And if you could switch to the next slide, please, Anna. And we produced this scorecard on the other side. Now, these scorecards were A6 size in print, which is 1/4 an A4. Might sound small, but we found that an ideal size to letterbox. They were on 150 GSM paper, so about twice as heavy as your ordinary printing paper. Glossy print, professionally designed. That really helped. We think people did find it attractive to look at. We got many compliments on its look, and that does help people get around to reading it. Few words on the scorecard. It's got a QR code which connects to a document which has, say, a paragraph for each of the candidates and each of the categories, so which run down the down the left side. So 16 paragraphs of text just justifying why we gave the score we did to that candidate on that category. We also printed this scorecard in A0, which is an A0 call float, which is double the size of your ordinary campaigning headshot. And we had those at pre-poll. We had 20 across the Gilmore electorate. Getting towards the end of this.
What response did you get from the scorecards and the call flutes, Jack? Can you tell us?
Look, well, people like the look of the scorecard. You don't know. We printed 25,000 and letterboxed them all. Now, people don't. The general public didn't get back to us and say, oh, we didn't want them to. We just want them to think about it before they vote. So one never knows one's impact, but one does one's best. We assume that letterboxing is worth doing because all the parties are doing it, and you might as well be in there. It's pretty cheap to do. Like 25,000 costs $1,200 to print through CanSign. So that's about 5 cents each. We sent about half of them out through Australia Post, and for Australia Post, if it's unaddressed mail, you can get about 3.5 flyers letterboxed for $1. So that's pretty good value. And because in some areas, well, quite a lot of the areas in Gilmore, we didn't have volunteers on the ground. Our volunteer base was strong in the bottom part of the Shire and the very northern part around Coinama. Yeah, just a couple of learnings. Start early, at least 4 months out. We got an extra 2 months because of Christmas and the Cyclone Alfred. Target letterboxing according to the booth votes in the last election. So we targeted areas where there'd been a strong Liberal vote last time. And beware of forums taking, because they're a public event, they need to be well organised, they need to be polished. They do take a lot of organising, but beware of that, what's the word? Leaving you too little time to do the other important thing, which for us was the scorecard. Yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks.
Amazing, thank you. It's so cool to hear from all the different groups about the different tactics that we used. Really interesting to hear about the community forums, the candidates forums, the face-to-face sort of door knocking and the sit-outs outside of Darren Chester's office. I love how every group has sort of taken a different approach based on the needs of that community and the kind of capacity and strengths of the group as well. So it's really cool to get different ideas about how that's working across different regions. So we have actually reached our time. So I understand if people have to go, but if you want to stick around for a quick Q&A, we will keep going for another 10 minutes because we did start 10 minutes late and I want to respect, that all of our speakers have given us their time today. So if we have some questions, feel free to pop up your hand and we'll call on you, or there might be some questions in the chat as well.
So I think there was just jumping in here, I think there was some questions. There was one from David, and this might be one to point to the whole panel. Any stats on how Gen Z and millennials voted in Gippsland? So yeah, we have some data around like how the voting boost went, but don't know much about the kind of demographics. So I'm not sure if that's something that people might like to talk to.
Perhaps Adrian, you might know if any trends in Gippsland, do you?
Well, what we know is that this is a very strong national seat, and if you look at the voting going back over elections, it's hardly changed. So that suggests that we've got traditional voters, farmers that are voting because their parents voted for the Nationals and all that sort of stuff. So this is one of the things that we're trying to figure out now, and it's about engaging those people to give them the information. Ali talked about facts, and one thing we've noticed that the nuclear people didn't have any facts and we did. So we're really trying to focus on getting the facts. We're trying to get farmers actually to talk to farmers rather than us come along and talk at them. And the other thing I noticed is what Ali said about Instagram. I don't think we have any exposure to Instagram at the moment, but we're sure going to have it pretty soon.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I might just add to that, if that's okay. Just I put this in the chat, but some of the booth data that I've seen is that in Monash and Gippsland, like the polling booths that were closest to the location of the proposed nuclear site had the biggest swings against the Nationals and the Liberals. So I think that's really interesting. So maybe if you look at Gippsland, yeah, it is a strong national seat, but where those impacts are being felt, people did really push against. So I think that kind of confirms that the work of the Alliance and the Nannas like did have an impact on people's voting. You know, just being out there all the time.
Can I add, we have no idea of what's going on really amongst the young ones. We've not gone out there to, we haven't, I suppose we've had a few people reach out, a few young ones reach out to us, but not many, not many. That's something we need to look at, I think. We don't know enough yet.
Yeah, and it is an interesting question about how to engage those different age groups, because obviously, you know, people at different stages of their life have different kind of availability and capacity to do these things. So I know that Good for the Gong actually might have the opposite problem, where everybody in Good for the Gong is kind of has young children and is working full time and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a good way to think about how to attract different diversity of people to your campaign, and what skills and insights that might bring as well. I also saw a question from Kath. Oh, and Jack's just answered it. So the question was, the Liberal candidate Andrew Constance came to the first forum but refused to come to the second. Why was that? And Jack hasn't speculated actually as to why, but you've said that was useful in the media. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, look, ABC Radio recorded our whole forum in Batemans Bay and interviewed a number of people afterwards, including myself, and I was able to get a grab onto the radio, onto the radio news. Positing the question, look, why wasn't Andrew Constance there? We want to hear about, we want him to explain the Liberal climate policy. He was actually at another event just down the road at a different time of the day, and he could have come to both. I left it there, but the message was out there, and it was a win. You know, it's a win either way, whether that poly comes or not, generally.
Yeah, it's a good example of how you can kind of take advantage of these moments, even if you don't decide who comes and doesn't come. It might give you an opportunity to support your message anyway. And we might just have time for one question more or two if there's another burning one, but I have seen this one from Shannon. What is the role of offshore wind in cutting emissions for industry? Ali, this seems like a good one for you. And Pat, I know you also have a lot to say on this topic.
Yeah, that's right. Because, you know, the community, like on an individual level, we're all doing our best in our homes, you know, spending our holiday savings on solar panels and taking out car loans to buy electric cars. But we've got, you know, massive industry needs here. We've got the steelworks here, and it needs to keep running. And if it's going to be competitive and viable, it needs to run on clean energy. So I'm hoping we hear more from them.
Yeah, good point. So wherever there is large scale heavy industry, the capacity of energy that's required is larger, and offshore wind can create has a higher generation capacity than other types of renewable energy. I think that is down to the strength of the wind offshore and the size of the turbines. Is that right, Pat?
Yeah, so it's the size of the turbine of the actual components, so taller towers, bigger components, so they can access higher, more stable wind speeds, and wind offshore is generally like more stable, so it's kind of blowing more consistently more of the time. There are some other reasons too, like around just locating the projects close to the actual demand centers. So if you say like Port Kembla Steelworks, when you transport electricity through transmission, like there is a loss. Adrian will probably be able to explain the technical aspect of this better than me, but you know, you do lose efficiency in transporting electricity over large distances. So if you have a very large scale offshore wind project close to, say, a steelworks, you know, within 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers, that is going to be a more efficient way to power that large energy user. And yeah, the wind in the ocean is also blowing at different times to wind in, say, like the west or onshore. So there's the resource kind of complements the other technologies. And yeah, Adrian's just put that in the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. So it also blows when onshore isn't blowing. Was what Adrian put there. So complements the demand times for different renewables. Okay, well, I think that might be all we have time for. We have a lot of really good links in the chat that a bunch of you just put in as we were speaking. So we will be sure to capture those and send them your way after the session. I want to thank all of our speakers who came along and gave your time and insights into all of the work that your groups have been doing to ensure our trajectory towards a renewable future. We've achieved an enormous amount, but obviously we're not stopping yet. We know grassroots groups around the country are going to continue to mobilise, to build people power, and to show their local MPs and other decision makers that we want to see ambitious action towards renewables. So before we sign off, I will just quickly hand over to Wendy to just talk a little bit about next steps.
Yeah, so thanks, Anna, and thanks everybody that actually spoke. It was just brilliant to hear what is happening around, you know, Australia in actions in different ways. So Global Wind Day the National Global Wind Day is coming up on June the 15th. And one thing that we've heard through our campaigns and through the nuclear campaign and the Yes for Renewables campaign is we need to start showing that there is support. The anti-renewable people are very loud. The Liberal Nationals have been very loud. So we need to actually start showing that there is support. So we thought it would be a great idea to try and run events across the nation in different regions. So there are a few happening. Victoria working on a beach activity where we'll do some sort of photography, whether it be a human sign or other signs that we hold up, and maybe some individual posters like I work in the renewable energy sector, I work in wind energy, I love renewable energy, or whatever people want to do in their groups or in their individually if they can't make a bigger event. I'm putting a call out to the people in Victoria. If you're around on the 15th of June, if you would like to be part of the working party to finalise what actually happens, we are having a meeting on Tuesday night. Please reach out to me. But also for the other regions, contact Anna, Coco. They will know what's happening in your region and you can be part of June the 15th. We need to start showing that there is support for renewable energy. We need to be louder than the anti-renewables as we were in the nuclear scene. So let's go for it. Let's make sure that we get good renewable energy jobs across Australia and in our communities. Thanks, Anna.
Amazing. Thank you, Wendy. And I've also got some links up there. If you don't already follow us, you can do so. You can sign up for updates via the website, follow us on socials. And we're always looking to progress our work, growing nationally. So there's a link to donate as well. Please take those, share them around to anyone that you think might be interested, and come along to, as Wendy mentioned, one of those events to keep building momentum for wind power and renewables more generally. So thank you so much to everybody who came, everybody who shared, and for all the work that you do every single day in your communities. We will see you soon.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you.